What's up, people? It's your boy Mex, the WrestleManiac, if you will, back again with another podcast. Hope you're doing well. Happy Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you may or may not celebrate. It's a festive period. We are days away from the new year. So looking forward to that. Happy New Year in advance. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here as well. And of course, if you didn't know, this podcast is available in the audio realm as well. So, you can type in the WrestleManiac UK show on all your podcast platforms and can find this podcast and all the other podcasts that will be coming out on a weekly basis. AEW World's End. Yeah, that's what we're here to talk about today. A really good show. I think, if you remember back to World's End last year, left the year on a sour note. I think Samoa Joe wrestled the title from the likes of MJF, who was champion at the time, and no one was really enjoying. So that was a positive, but really and truly, I don't think many people enjoyed. I think there might have been like 2 matches or so. Eddie Kingston winning the C1, then the Continental Classic, the inaugural tournament, was a good match against Moxley. And then I think there was maybe one other good match. And then, of course, like I say, Joe won the world title. So it wasn't the strongest of pay-per-views then, last year. But 2024, I feel like they've turned it around. And the Continental Classic has been, what's the word? Instrumental. Let's go with instrumental in how good that this show ended up being. Heavy on the wrestling when it comes to AEW, very heavy on the in-ring product, and I feel like we've got a really solid in-ring pay-per-view. Very, very good. But of course, there can always be questions around the storytelling in AEW, especially, or should I say, unfortunately, there always seems to be questions around the storytelling. Some stuff better than others. I won't kind of tear down some of the good things I thought or I enjoyed, as opposed to, there are some general stuff that the internet wrestling community were not happy with, but I'll talk about it. But yeah, in all, I think I enjoyed a lot of it. Like I said, it was a really, really strong pay-per-view to end the show. Big up everyone that's live commenting. If you follow me on the Instagram, WrestleManiac.uk, people have been leaving some of their hot takes, which I will bring in today. But I will also go through some of the live comments as well. But yes, all in all, like I say, I think a very good pay-per-view to end the year, the pay-per-view calendar across both companies. And yeah, looking forward to what we have in 2025. Now, I think with 2 massive returns that we got on this show, 2025 is already looking like, right, we're getting a bit of, big names. Heavy artillery is returning and we can put together a better show. So I'm looking forward to already what can happen. However, I do have some questions and some things that we need to talk about that some of those men are involved in. But we will start with what is my headline story. The biggest angle for me personally was the return of Kenny Omega. Now, this is going to be a bit convoluted. We are going to review the podcast, but I guess we can't talk about Kenny Omega's return without talking about the segment he returned in, the match he returned after, and then obviously what led to the match. So I think we're just going to pull out the Continental Classic bits, then we'll talk about the rest of the pay-per-view, if that's all right with you guys. So let's start with the Continental Classic and Will Ospreay taking on Carl Fletcher. This was a semi-final, right? Big match feel. This opened up the show. Mr. Meltzer has been online and said this is quite possibly the best opening match of all time, of all pay-per-views, blah, blah, blah. Terrific match. But I mean, for me, like, we don't need to give an award for everything. You see what I mean? And as long as Will Ospreay is alive and kicking, anywhere you put him, you could then say, "Oh, that match Will Ospreay had is the second best match on the pay-per-view of all time. It's the best middle match of a pay-per-view all time." Like, we'll be here all day. It's Will Ospreay. So I share the sentiment that this was a really strong opener, but at the same time, like I say, let's we don't need to give an award for everything. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Terrific match, though. Absolutely terrific match. Like, what, 3 minutes in, Will Ospreay saw red, literally bleeding from his head. He probably went a bit hard on the cutting himself open hard way, and yeah, he was an absolute mess. Like, blood, like never before have I seen it. I'm not even sure if I've seen Moxley bleed this bad from one kind of one cut. I don't know. Very, very intense. And even when that was happening, we saw Carl Fletcher, kind of taunting the crowd and all of that kind of stuff. And the sign of Osprey's better. And when he ripped one, the other one came out. Osprey's still better, which is a really nice touch. This was a really, really good match. And, Carl Fletcher, we're going to talk about this in a bit, but Carl Fletcher has been one of the shining lights of the recent months. He's stepped out of his shell the entire year since he was kind of forced to be on his own through his tag team partner Mark Davis being injured. And again, he's ended 2024 super strong. He didn't win here. Carl Fletcher beat him with a Styles Clash, which was great to see. For those that don't know, like, AJ Styles is like one of Will Ospreay's big inspirations. So it's a kind of nice to have that homage and win via the Styles Clash, because we don't often see him win via the Styles Clash. And he wins and he signals to Carl Fletcher, it's one apiece sort of thing. Like, you beat me last, month at Full Gear. I'm going to get the win here. I've got the win here. So yeah, probably a rubber match is happening somewhere along the line. But yeah, it was really good to kind of see these two clash. An outstanding match, an outstanding opener. Will Ospreay progresses onto then the final of the C2. In the next match, we had Ricochet going up against Okada, the Continental Champion, the man they have continuously told us, at least for the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, is the greatest tournament wrestler of all time. So for me, even though Ricochet is beginning to come into his own, like, it was always going to be an Okada win. It was always going to be an Okada win. And an Okada win it was. It was a really, really strong performance, and he's someone, and they said this on commentary, especially in the final of the Continental Classic, that he has grown into this tournament. Yeah, he did take a loss early on to Carl Fletcher, I think it was. But yeah, his performances have grown, and he knows how to pace himself. And they told that story because he is the greatest tournament wrestler of all time. So yeah, I feel like his performance was super strong against Ricochet. Just a really kind of professional performance. Didn't have to kind of overexert himself. I don't feel like he was ever in any danger. There was no doubt about him kind of progressing on. And with a Okada drop kick, Okada got him up, hit him with a Rainmaker, and that was it. 1, 2, 3, and he's progressed onto the final. So then we have the promos of both men that was cut backstage of Renee Paquette at different points. Ospreay literally, hanging there, blood all dried up on his face, like literally looked like he looked drunk, if anything, like he got into a fight like down his local or something, and like just happy to be here. Like, this is what I live for, and kind of giving it the large and saying that he's going back in, he's got the final. Let's effing have it, lads. Like, it was just a really great rah-rah speech by Ospreay to cut following that grueling match he just had with Carl Fletcher. And then obviously knowing that he's got a final later on against Kazuchika Okada. Oh, at the time, I don't think he knew. But then Kazuchika Okada, the same thing. Renee Paquette telling Okada of the history between Okada and Ospreay. And Okada saying that, yes, you're like my little brother and stuff like that, but you say that you're on another level, but you're not on my level, bitch. And yeah, Okada still running the jokes and stuff, which we've come to enjoy. And yeah, that was going to be the final. So we move forward to the final now. Osprey again on the entrance, his entrance, just absolutely stumbling down the aisleway like he was drunk, like just couldn't see out of his bleeding eyes and all of that kind of stuff. Like he really sold it well. He had a big bandage on his head and everything. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. He played the part of someone that was literally hanging on by a thread and sold it like that throughout, the match. He really kind of, there was bits of, fighting spirit and things that he wasn't going to lay down for. But yeah, he was very, very believable in the state that he came into that match and just basically hanging on. And you know what, Okada, again, at times he was just going through the paces and doing what Okada does. A lot of people slander like Okada matches and say it's a slow build up and all of that kind of stuff. But Okada gets to the punch. He definitely gets to the punch and grasps the attention of those watching. And although Osprey wasn't, at his full health or fighting fit and stuff like that, like he made Okada work for this. He made Okada work for the win. And win is what Okada did do. A fantastic match, like I say. But at the end of the day, like I said, for the last nearly 2 months now, they've been telling us that this guy is the greatest tournament wrestler. So for me, I didn't really doubt. Those times I thought, could they use this to prop up somebody else? But nah, it remained with Okada. Okada put him away. He put away Osprey with a rainmaker, and yeah, 1, 2, 3, done. Yeah, 4 G1 wins and now a Continental Classic win. So I guess I believe they said he's tied now for the most major tournament wins. I'm sure Tony Khan would have been pretty happy and being the man to make Okada responsible to now have that accolade on his name. But it's great. We see stuff like this heralded in other sports, like tournament wins and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, in terms of what they were counting as major trophies, like he is the greatest, and he's proven it now. So to talk just roundedly about the Continental Classic, right? Like I said, 5 tournament wins now, major tournaments, what they're counting as major tournaments for Okada, makes him the most decorated and tournament wins in wrestling, I guess. Could they have done more to sell the overall importance and pageantry of the tournament? I think so. And I'm just talking about throughout the entire tournament. I'm not talking about on the night. On the night, 100% they could have done more. Okada wins, confetti should have been falling. Pyro should have been going off. Do you guys remember when, I can't remember, what did Ricky Starks win? The Owen Cup or something like that? The Owen Belt or something? And the pyro that was going off for Ricky Starks winning that. Like, that is exactly what Okada should have got. Okada should have got so much pyro, confetti, Okada dollars, everything. They really should have dressed this up to make us feel like this is a major tournament and, wow, this is big business for the person that wins this. And a couple of things happened. Okada won, and there was almost like a bit of a delay. The camera was obviously on Osprey and Osprey walking away and stuff like that. Then obviously Christopher Daniels comes out, and Christopher Daniels is basically saying how, right, in my usual EVP role, I'd walk down and they'll hand you the title and all of that kind of stuff. And I can't really remember any time that Christopher Daniels has handed anyone any title, but that's what he says that he would usually do. However, he's no longer an EVP because this man is. And I think at that point, we all knew he was going to walk through the door. Kenny Omega returns to AEW. Massive ovation. I was smiling from ear to ear. That is my guy. And it wasn't necessarily emotion, but it's just like a star has entered. Like you could feel the presence, the aura, as the kids say. You could feel it as he walked through the middle of the two tunnels and stuff. Like it felt like a big star has returned. And one has in Kenny Omega. He looked in great shape. He stood there. He took in the adulation. He picked up the Continental Classic belt, which was at the top of the entranceway, and he walked down to the ring with it. And he walks into the ring and he hands it to his most storied rival of all time, Kazuchika Okada. He hands it to him, a small little clap, just to, I'm neutral, I'm an EVP, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, he walks away and leaves Okada to kind of celebrate. He walks up the ring, walks up the ramp later, and celebrates a bit more. Again, no pyro, no nothing, no confetti or anything. So I don't know. I feel like a couple things. I'm pretty sure if not Okada, the Elite were pretty. They were the people that took out Osprey when we didn't see Osprey on TV from earlier this year till now. So I'm not sure why Omega would kind of want to necessarily fraternize with Okada, but ultimately, maybe he was just doing the job as an EVP or whatever. But yes, I feel like this should have main evented the show. And it's a very difficult spot because obviously once you have a world title on the card, AEW have been very good in kind of having that reverence for the world title and making sure that the world title more often than not finishes the show, closes the show. It's the most important thing on the show. However, you've almost built this entire pay-per-view around the Continental Classic, so much so that the semi-finals happened on the show as opposed to the semi-finals happening elsewhere on AEW programming, and then the final just happens on the show. The semi-finals and the final happened on this show. So the most important thing about World's End was the Continental Classic. And Okada should have won. Okada should have got that big, like I say, confetti and everything dropping to kind of celebrate this win, to show us how important this win is, even to celebrate his legacy as the greatest. There's no additional celebration. They never done any of that. And then Omega came out, which is your big angle, to really sell. And you had your AEW All In, poster in the background, which is, I guess, foreshadowing where this is going to happen. This match of these two is going to happen. And he walks away. Okada walks away. And yeah, we move on with the rest of the pay-per-view. I don't know. I don't know if it's as difficult as I'm maybe giving them grace for. Like, I feel like you could have made an exception and this should have ended the show. Omega returning is the biggest thing on the show. I'm sorry. It's like, after obviously the matches and, crowning this person winning, Omega returning is bigger than whatever that main event angle was. Because a couple of things could happen. Omega, yes, you're going to tell us that Omega Okada, we should be getting that, as long as everyone stays fit and healthy, we should be getting that somewhere down the line. And you've kind of foreshadowed where it's going to happen at All In. Omega is also an EVP. Omega is also one of the founding fathers of this promotion. Right now, this promotion is in a chokehold by Moxley and the Death Riders. So if anything, this should have been a hero coming to close the show. Yeah. Obviously, he's got business with Okada, but also someone that we can see as a hero coming to close the show that could also be seen as someone that could challenge Moxley to wrestle back control of AEW, if that's what you want to call it. I don't know. I feel like the placement of this and the framing and picturing and presentation of the C2 just could have been better. However, I'll caveat that now saying, however, I think the C2 is quite easily the best thing about AEW. like the greatest thing that this company have stumbled across in what the last 2 years, let's say, is the C2. It's the Continental Classic. Like this tournament allows AEW to do what their mantra is. They say this is where the best wrestle. It allows people to wrestle. 20-minute matches, you have to get your stuff done in that time and get out with your wins or your draws or whatever the case may be. It's allowing them to build characters more so than their regular TV booking is, and build angles and to tell stories. They're doing it with so much ease compared to what they are doing outside of the tournament. It's the greatest thing AEW have done, this tournament, and they need a women's one. They for sure need a women's one. Doesn't need to run concurrently with the men's. Probably a good idea for them not to run it concurrently with the men's and run it at a different time of the year. But they need a women's one. The company says that this is where the best wrestle. This tournament is fantastic for showcasing that and telling stories and getting characters over. For the people in the tournament, like Okada has done respectfully next to nothing of real importance since his arrival. Good matches, of course, it's Okada here and there, TV and pay-per-view when asked, but maybe that's the fault of us as fans thinking that we're gonna get 2017 Okada or something like that, 2018 Okada in AEW. Maybe that's our fault as fans. But this tournament brought him alive, even though he took a loss somewhere in the tournament. This tournament and a draw, in fact, this tournament brought him alive. And there's other extenuating factors. Maybe his move to America. We don't know as fans. It might have been a rocky one. His missus recently had a baby. Like you don't know, innit? But like this gave me the feels of Tokyo Dome Okada. Like this was him at his best again. Kyle Fletcher. I've already spoken about how great Kyle Fletcher. Following the big win against Ospreay, and then coming into this, I feel like Kyle Fletcher has just shown that he is a big player. He is a big player. He's a fantastic wrestler, and there is a bit of a question of like, all right, he's lost just before the final here. You've built him up so much and now he's lost just before the final. What do we do next with Kyle Fletcher? I'm not too worried. They seem to have a plan with Kyle Fletcher. But I can understand, some sections of the audience are kind of wondering, why did you give him so much? And then he didn't even like reach the final and lose to Okada. Let Okada get his win back or something like that. I understand that. But like I said, it looks like they've got a plan for Fletcher. So I'm not too worried. Daniel Garcia entering this tournament as TNT champion. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe he didn't need to be in the tournament per se. But again, he got some good wins, some good results over his time being in the tournament. Mark Briscoe, I'll be honest with you, I always sigh when I see Mark Briscoe included. It's been 2 years now included in this, and I'm just like, why? But Mark Briscoe gives us, good matches even in defeat. Shelton Benjamin, who hasn't enjoyed Shelton Benjamin in this tournament? Wrestling this more aggressive, stiff style, like obviously combined with his Hurt Syndicate character. Been great. Beast Mortos. You can just count on that man to give you great matches. I don't think he won a match, but yeah, you can count on him to give you great matches. Juice Robinson was in this tournament. He got injured. They replaced him with Commander. Commander is like one of the feel-good stories from AEW, the back end of this year especially. He's now went off and he's TV champion in ROH. Commander's been fantastic in ring. Fantastic in ring. Cannot doubt that. Brody King probably would have liked a bit of a stronger showing at times. At times, great, but yeah, not much for him. Darby Allin. We know is on a collision course to face John Moxley, become AEW World Champion probably at some point next year. So this helped his cause and probably told more of his story with the Death Riders. You know, again, maybe a story that they would have struggled to tell without the function of the Continental Classic, but we had it and it worked. Claudio Castagnoli, a key component to, you know, Darby Allin and that particular story I just mentioned. He also had a pretty decent showing. Will Ospreay made it all the way to the final, was cheated at times, bloodied, you know, made it to the final. Maybe took one too many losses, depending on your opinion on how many losses the likes of Will Ospreay should be taking, but fantastic performances all along the way. Made it to the final and was unsuccessful. Ricochet. Ricochet might be, just from a character standpoint, one of the biggest success stories of this. He may be, because Ricochet is now being spoken of. It may be negatively for some people. At one point, I was thinking, are they making this guy look too much like a dork? But they may know what they're doing. They may know what they're doing, and they may turn it all around, because Ricochet has at least something now to sink his teeth into. At the very least, he's got something to sink his teeth into. So we may see something with Ricochet, and it could be because of the likes of his inclusion in this tournament. So yeah, I think it is so integral for AEW to make sure they keep this tournament going, but they need to make it feel more special. They need to make it feel more major. They've called it a major tournament. They're counting it alongside other major tournaments. But I don't feel like we've got that major presentation. If we're comparing it to the G1, we definitely don't have that major presentation. The G1 even comes with you win a cup and then you become the number one contender. It's like what? You go to the main event challenge for the IWGP championship, you know? So I think that we need a couple more. And of course, they tweaked a couple things this year. You know, the winner of they put the semifinals on the pay-per-view. The winner of the gold block faced this person, and the winner of blue block faced that person, and the champion was in it. And there's an argument: does the champion need to be in the tournament, or who should he just be? You know, like the final boss at the end of the tournament, and whoever wins the tournament then faces him. Almost like how they do with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. They have the match. Whoever wins the match, or the last two, then have a final, and then they face the guy that holds the diamond ring. There's a lot of arguments and stuff around it, but I think if we just take it for what it is, kind of cool down on maybe some of the nitpicking of it, like I just did, this is something AEW really needs to hang their hat on. Might even go as far as say qualifiers for the C2. You know, make it feel like this is such an integral part of your calendar, because you're calling it a major thing. We can see all the good that it does when it comes to booking. So yeah, and give us a women's one. I think it's more than needed. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. So yeah, big up the Continental Classic as a tournament, as a great piece of programming for AEW. Big up Okada winning that, retaining his belt, and Kenny Omega is back. And you know, Kenny Omega, Okada is 6 months away. If we're being completely honest with ourselves, it's going to be about 6 months away from now. So it's going to be very interesting to see what both men do in the meantime. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that program. We're going to get back onto the review now. We'll touch on some other bits within the classic that I want to talk about, as well as everything else on the programming. Hit the like button, subscribe again if you haven't before. We'll just quickly run through the pre-show, because yeah, the pre-show is it happened. It happened. We had timeless Tony Storm, or regular Tony Storm, amnesia Tony Storm, going up against Layla Gray, who wanted to let us know that she's been in the LA New Japan dojo. However, her and Tony Storm, it was a relatively quick match, about 6 minutes long. There was a roll up. Layla Gray got pinned. Tony Storm gets her first ever, should I say, sorry, pay-per-view win, or should I say 0 hour win. She was there because she was a rookie, apparently, and has never had a pay-per-view match before. So she's starting from the bottom. So yeah, that happened. We had Jeff Jarrett as well going up against QT Marshall. Fun match. Jeff Jarrett got the win. Jeff Jarrett also said said backstage to Renee Paquette that he has got an announcement about his career that he will let the world know on Dynamite this next week. So a lot of people thinking that this is going to be a retirement angle. It's probably not. It's probably not going to be a retirement angle. Maybe he gets interrupted by somebody and gets into a program with someone. Who knows? But yeah, I think they are teasing a retirement angle. I don't think it will be a retirement angle at all. And the last match that you had on the pre-show was the Outrunners and Top Flight going up against Leo Rush, Action Andretti, and Murder Machines. Didn't know that these guys were called Murder Machines until it was said on commentary. So yeah, this was like a 8-man tag situation. It was okay. I mean, the true underlying story here is the ongoing beef between Top Flight and Leo Rush and Action Andretti. We saw Lance Archer. He was going to have put another choke slam on Dante Martin. Leo Rush tagged himself in, done a frog splash onto Dante Martin, pinned him 1, 2, 3, and yeah, Action Andretti, Leo Rush, and the Murder Machines get the win here. Bit of an argument between the two teams afterwards, because obviously Leo Rush tagged in himself off the back of Lance Archer. Private Party came out, who are the AEW tag team champions, and Private Party have basically, I think they've issued a challenge. So we're going to get on Collision next week. Private Party defended the championships against Action Andretti and Leo Rush. I expect them to retain, but let's be honest, pretty low vibrational stuff that Private Party have done ever since winning that tournament. Winning the tag belts. It's almost like if your names are not, Dax or Cash or Matthew and Nicholas, we don't really care about you and your tag team title run. And at times, we don't really care if them man hold the tag team title belts either. Like, we need to revive tag team wrestling on a global scale, not even just the AEW problem. On a no matter what the company is, need to definitely revive tag team wrestling in 2025, because it has been awful. It has been rubbish. And with no disrespect, I mean this with no disrespect at all, for Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair to come out as, what was it, PWI #1 tag team in the world for this year, fantastic accolade for them. But that's even in a place where women's tag wrestling is not even booked correctly. Where are the rest of the tag teams worldwide that this is the result of PWI's tag team wrestlers of the year? Yeah, 2025, we need to do better. Right now, it's not good enough at all. But we move on to the main card. Look, we've talked about the semifinals of Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay, and obviously Will Ospreay progressed. And then we talked about Ricochet and Kazuchika Okada as well in the other semifinal. The one thing I didn't mention before, which we'll talk about now, is what happened after Okada defeated. She was standing in the ring alone. And if you've been watching Collision and those shows that happened at Hammerstein Ballroom, which were great, by the way, Ricochet got pelted with toilet roll. Yeah, these weren't streamers. It was toilet roll. And Swerve came out as Ricochet stood in the ring in dismay, and Swerve came out without Nana, which I thought was odd in itself, but there was a reason. And he said, he kind of mocked Ricochet, saying, "Oh, you said you were going to win this. You said you're going to do better than me and win this tournament this year. And here you are. You've lost. You're out," and stuff like that. And I'm going to embarrass you. Like I said, I'm going to embarrass you. And he said to Ricochet that, I want you to have a clean slate going into 2025. And that's when you see Nana come out. And Nana's got a wagon full of toilet roll. So they've obviously caught on to the whole Hammerstein ballroom, what's been happening to Ricochet, him being pelted with toilet roll and not streamers. And as Swerve is cleaning up the crowd, getting them ready to throw this toilet roll, Nana is sort of throwing out the toilet roll to the fans. And what does he say? 1, 2, 3, Happy New Year or something like that. And everyone throws the toilet roll into the ring where Ricochet is standing. He's sweaty. The toilet roll is sticking to his body. He is looking at Swerve like if looks could kill. Like Ricochet didn't say a word. And I don't know how I feel about this because I thought it was a good angle. I thought it was a fun angle. Let me say that. I thought it was a fun angle where you saw Ricochet look menacing and pissed off and everything like that. Good kind of fun spot to include Swerve on the pay-per-view. But the throwing of the toilet roll, I thought was a bit beneath Swerve. I just feel like this isn't what cool. I mean, this is the same man that was walking into people's kids' bedrooms and threatening the kids and, involved in something where his house was set on fire. He walked into what's that boy's name? And Nick, what's his face? I've forgotten his name. He's walked into his training facility and he's got a shiesty on, and his man's got a knife, and they've caused the ruckus. Like, I felt like this was a fun angle, but for Swerve's character, I don't know, it felt a bit WWE-ish. It felt a bit like, a top star mocking someone in WWE, as opposed to feeling cool or something Swerve would do. You see what I mean? I don't know. I don't want to nitpick, but I just didn't feel like it felt like, yes, it was humiliating for Ricochet, but I felt like, yeah, I don't know. Is there an alternative to what Swerve could have done? Anyway, it seemed like the fans enjoyed it. Maybe that's what's important at the end of the day. But just to talk on Ricochet real quick, like I was saying earlier, out of nowhere, Ricochet has developed this annoying kind of jerkish character, which seems to be getting people talking about him at the very least. So, it's better than whatever else he was doing. I'm feeling very ordinary. He feels like he's got a bit of edge now, right? And I'm feeling like I know roughly where this story is going. I feel like we're going to get another Swerve Bobby Lashley match. I feel like Ricochet will be the difference in said match. I then feel like Ricochet joins the Hurt Business. Now, you guys probably know where I'm going with this, right? Samantha Irvin said she left WWE to pursue her music career. I haven't seen anything. Like, God bless her. That's what she wants to do. I haven't seen anything in terms of music and stuff. And of course, this isn't the microwave. Like, things aren't manufactured overnight. But I haven't seen anything. That's all I'm saying. At the same time, she said she left WWE because she wanted to do more than just announce. She wanted to be an on-screen personality, wrestle, valet, manager, whatever. Like, she wanted to do something in that capacity. Put her with Ricochet. Put that woman with Ricochet. Like, I'm sensing, and this may not be for everyone's taste. Me, I'll tell you guys now, I love a power couple in wrestling. I love my power couples when it comes to wrestling. This may not be for everyone's taste, but I can also see, especially with the direction that Ricochet is going in right now, This, if done well, could be at least like a Miz and Maurice level act. Now, obviously, Ricochet is a much better wrestler than the Miz, so don't get me twisted on that. But in terms of like, I feel like as a duo, Miz and Maurice were great. And if you have this prickish Ricochet with the beautiful woman that Samantha Irvin is, you put them two together, like, and then Ricochet starts winning stuff, like an international title win, maybe a continental title win, TNT title win, because he isn't of world caliber level just yet anyway. But if we could start doing that and making sense, even if you put them both in the Hurt Syndicate, sorry, I think there is something there. I honestly think that you lot think you hate me now. Give me a title and give me a beautiful woman next to me as well, and you're gonna understand what I'm what I'm on, sort of thing. I'm really hoping that they do something with Ricochet, because right now I think that they're cashing in on this kind of prickish persona, but he's being made to look like a dork by everybody, which I think you can do to a certain degree. It can't reach too low. Like having everyone throw toilet paper on him last night, that may be the flaw. Like he's been chiefed up by Bobby Lashley. He's been kind of cornered on a couple of occasions, and his first name be called out by Swerve. Now Swerve has been instrumental in getting people to throw toilet paper on him. I think we're now at the floor of humiliation, and he shouldn't go any lower than that. He has to start climbing now. Has to start climbing. Maybe if he has a one-on-one match with Swerve, he beats Swerve. I don't know. Get in some wins, get the girl with him, get him a title, get him in Hurt Syndicate. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see how they book Ricochet, because I think that they're doing some good stuff with him. But yeah, right now I think we're on the floor of the humiliation stuff, and it's all right, sort of thing. But let's have a plan for how we're gonna dig him out of this hole that he's in. Because right now, yeah, is looking pretty bad. But I think he's dealing with it well. It's seemingly all in hand. Let's move on. Let's talk about the AEW Women's Title match. This was Mariah May defending her title against Thunder Rosa in a Tijuana street fight. I mean, this escalated to a street fight just because I think a week or 2 weeks ago, Mariah May mentioned Thunder Rosa's dad. Thunder Rosa's dad was at ringside for this match. Thunder Rosa's dad kindly brought sand from Tijuana because I don't know, Thunder Rosa needed it to help her win the match. Yeah, that backfired. Listen, I think AEW wanted this to be like a Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker level street fight or no DQ match or anything like that. They had all the tools, they had all the chairs and the board tables and this, that, and the other. They had the thumbtacks in the pinata, which was a nice touch. But in the end, it was that sand from Tijuana that Mariah May threw into the eyes of Thunder Rosa while they were on the apron. And Mariah May hit Thunder Rosa with what's that move that Tony Storm does? The Storm Zero. Hit her with the Storm Zero, through a table, and pinned her on the outside because I think, falls count anywhere sort of thing. Impactful finish, really strong finish. The sand in the eyes was definitely a choice. But to get a pile driver effectively, a Storm Zero through the table on the outside, I'm not expecting anybody to get up from that. So I'm happy that Thunder Rosa didn't. Mariah May retains. They said what 7 defenses Mariah May has had now. Listen, I think we need to just circle back round to Toni Storm because she's trying. Yeah, Mariah May is actually trying to make something of this all, but it's just not really clicking. I don't think it's really clicking. This whole there is no one in this division. This division is rubbish and all this kind of stuff. We're going to speak about 2 people that are in this division, which are higher up on the card than you, the AEW Women's Champion. We're yet to speak about them. So I think the whole story doesn't really work. And we are clearly just waiting for Toni Storm and this rookie gimmick to work her way up to, maybe a main event in Australia. They've got that show in February, where she takes on Mariah May for the title. That's where we are. That is where we are with this. Decent match. Didn't hit the heights of previous street fights in AEW for the women. But yeah, I think we are just struggling along with Mariah May right now. And yeah, could do better. We had the Dynamite Diamond Ring match. Adam Cole versus MJF. MJF, the internal ring holder. He's never not had that ring. At the beginning of the match, we had Undisputed Kingdom guarding the ring. Apparently, they were guarding the ring to stop MJF using the ring during the match. But the minute they were there before the entrances took place, I was thinking, are these guys about to turn on Adam Cole and join MJF? We got a decent match between the two. I feel like investment in this match was very low just because we just need to end what is happening here between these two and how this has gone on and killed a lot of hope in AEW. And, it just hasn't gone down well, this story with a lot of people. I've enjoyed it for the most part. I have to be honest. I have. I don't see a lot of the issues that people have said in terms of there's definitely been holes in the story, don't get me wrong. But like some of the matches that people say, no, it wasn't that good of a match and stuff between the two of them, especially I'm thinking about the main event of the first All In. I thought it was a fine match, I have not watched it back. I was in attendance live, and maybe that's a telltale sign. But yeah, I'm not as low on this story between these two as some others are. But I'm done with it as well. While saying that, there was shenanigans because Bryce Rimsberg was reffing, so of course there was going to be shenanigans in this match. He went down. Another ref came in. He went down. There was an attempt at using the diamond ring, of course, by MJF, and then Adam Cole had it on him. MJF hit Adam Cole with a low blow while the ref was distracted. He hit a heat seeker, and 1, 2, 3, MJF retains the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Interesting that a heat seeker was used as the finish. I don't think he's used that. He's often used the salt of the earth. Is it armbar? He usually uses as his finish. But yeah, he used that as a finish. Now, when he used it as a finish, we saw the Kingdom run down. We saw Kyle O'Reilly, in fact, run down because I think MJF tried to do more damage to Adam Cole, had put the chair wrapped around his foot. Kyle O'Reilly ran down and Roderick Strong came down, and basically the entire Kingdom guys, they dealt with MJF, left him laying in the ring. The Undisputed Kingdom are now all together. Carl has finally joined them. Wardlow is still not in the picture, but these 5 guys, as we kind of would have known them from Ring of Honor 10 years ago and NXT to some degree, some of them like 5, 6 years ago, they're all now together. And I liked it because it's like, yeah, I know these guys are friends and stuff like that. But like at the same time, it's like, does anyone care about this? We should care. We absolutely should care about all of these guys being put together. But does anyone care about this? It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because it's even now I'm thinking, right, we've just formed a faction here. Kyle O'Reilly, is he leaving conglomeration? Like, how are they gonna handle that? And these guys will do their best work as heels, as opposed to baby faces, which they all are now. How are we gonna do this? What are they going to do? Like the trios titles have been off TV alongside with the Death Riders stuff. The tag team titles are there, but there's 5 of them. Of course, there's like could form separate tag teams within that, but I'm very interested to see how this is going to play out. You know, there's still very much the um, chance that the Kingdom guys split and leave and maybe even join MJF, and Wardlow comes back and joins MJF. That could happen, and then these guys are all still warring each other, and that doesn't actually end. There's still that possibility, but yeah, I think we need to have a long, deep, hard think about the direction of the Undisputed Kingdom and MJF, because what does MJF do now? He's got the ring. Okay. We all knew he was probably in the right amongst this whole storyline where he was made to feel like he was the criminal here. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what MJF does now, what Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom does now. Yeah. this is why I don't book the shows and Tony does. That's his job. Next up, we had AEW International title, Takeshita defending the title against Will Hobbs. This was a really good match, but I feel like I don't know, maybe the build wasn't so good, so maybe a lot of people weren't invested on it. It seemed like even the crowd went to sleep at points in this match and woke up when it was that spot when they were both on the top rope trying to do something to one another, and then they slipped or whatever happened. I feel like that's when people woke up, because it's like, what are these two big guys doing on the top rope? Yeah, but Takeshita was very, very good throughout the match. Will Hobbs was very good in selling his knee before that was the kind of thing that let him down, and Takeshita was able to take advantage and get the win. Solid match, man. Solid match. I'm looking forward to Takeshita versus Shingo, with all the titles on the line. That's going to happen in the next week or so, or by next weekend, sorry. So yeah, that should be a good match over there in Japan. But yeah, Will Hobbs had a pay-per-view match here. I don't know where he goes from here, really, because this is his bracket. This is where he should be. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where he goes from here. AEW TBS title, Mercedes Moné defending the title against Chris Statlander. This was the longest match on the card. I think about 25 minutes this match went. For sure, Mercedes Moné must have something about the length of her matches in her contract, because I think this particular showing and Full Gear as well, Full Gear, her match there might have been the longest match on that card as well. Mercedes Moné, she's getting back to her best. She is 100% getting back to her best. And I've said this in the last few weeks. It doesn't surprise me when we strip away all the nonsense storytelling, yeah, because the CEO stuff and the Camille stuff and this, that, and the other just didn't work. I'm not saying that they can't tell stories or they shouldn't tell stories. That particular story, it just didn't work. And you stripped it all away, and you told her to go in there and do what she does best. You told her to do it on 2 occasions now. Full Gear, she's done it here as well at World's End. And in between, she wrestled that match against Hazuki and New Japan Strong. Amazing match. I think that match was just given the best women's match in 2024 as an award from PWI. I think her and Statlander wrestled a real struggle, a real war of attrition. That match was 25 minutes where Statlander was showing her strength. Mercedes had to find other ways around her. You know, the epic cry towards the end, why won't you just die, sort of thing. Some really good stuff in this match. Some really good stuff. And Statlander has had a bit of a tumultuous year in terms of booking herself, from going from a heel to a face, and now trying to rekindle with Willow Nightingale and all of that stuff. Been a bit of a mess. But again, you let these workers do what they came to do, work. It's fantastic stuff. So the writers and the bookers and all these other people need to do what they're employed to do and book better stories and write better stories for these people, because we can clearly see the talent isn't an issue. It's the stories you're telling these talent to perform alongside doing their job of wrestling, their primary job of wrestling. This other stuff you're telling them to do, it's not equating. It don't make sense. So I think we really need to, we're getting Mercedes back to a place where it's becoming undeniable. And I say getting her back to a place. She may have never been in this place in her career before, because in WWE, she's, hidden behind the likes of a Charlotte Flair, and we would see her in glimpses. We would see her excellence in glimpses when Charlotte Flair wasn't around. Or if Charlotte Flair got moved to Raw, then you might see a Mercedes shine on SmackDown, or Mercedes shine in NXT or something like that. Or if Charlotte Flair was injured, you might see a Mercedes then given the baton. Mercedes went to New Japan, we saw her shine. Nothing there, no shenanigans to do there, no story so and so to tell outside of the story you're telling in the ring, and she was absolutely shining. Bring her to AEW, started giving her some absolute cod's wallop of stories. Like, she's been hiding behind Camille for the longest time, right? She gets rid of Camille. She has two of her most difficult matches in AEW and wins both of them. Was Camille ever needed? Mercedes was fantastic in this match. She hit, the 7 amigos? Yeah. She still has an awful frog splash, which we won't talk about beyond that. But this was a fantastic match. And even her emotion at the end and kind of paying a respect to Statlander. And Statlander was so good throughout this match. I just feel, like I said earlier, a woman C2. Let these people come and do what they came here to do. You said this is where the best wrestle. Stop clouding, stop clouding their primary function in rubbish stories. Let's do what they came here to do, man. Mercedes Moné and Statlander was fantastic. It was a great match. It was a really, really strong match. And if it wasn't for Will Ospreay, stealing the show as he does every single time, having a great match with Carl Fletcher, this may very well be, one of the matches of the night. It is one of the matches of the night, but the match of the night. This was really good stuff, man. I'm a bit torn myself as to whether this was better than the Full Gear match or not. I think because it was a second go around, this might have had my attention a bit more than the Full Gear match, because I thought, could Statlander win here? Even though Mercedes was my pick, will they kind of just do it again twice clean? Which, yes, they did. But yeah, this was an absolutely fantastic match. A great advert for women's wrestling. A great advert for why they should have a women's C2. Mercedes is getting back up there, man. Mercedes is climbing them ladders, fam. She's getting back to where she needs to be. Like, she's doing some great stuff. We had the Continental Classic final, which we talked about at the top of the podcast. Ospreay versus Okada. Great match. Two of the absolute best Um, Okada he's just undeniable when it comes to tournament wrestling, clearly. And then, like we said, Kenny Omega makes his big return. And Kenny Omega, I just, what does he do next? Is he on Dynamite next week or this week? I'm just looking forward to see what he does next at this point. Then we have what was the main event, which I think all fans can probably agree shouldn't have been the main event. John Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page versus Orange Cassidy versus Jay White for the AEW Championship. We have still not seen this title since Moxley beat Danielson for it. I thought, big title match, main event, they'll open the briefcase and at least the referee will carry it up or whatever. Nope. We didn't see it. You see this match here. This match, again, it wasn't okay. Put it this way: it shouldn't have main evented. That's the long and short. Because you've built, again, like I said earlier, you've built the whole pay-per-view around the Continental Classic. You've had 2 semifinals and the final on this pay-per-view. This should have main evented the Continental Classic final. However, you've chosen the AEW World Championship, and yes, it is the big prize in the company. They've treated it with reverence all this time. I don't expect that to change now. Moxley is a 4-time champion. He is in this storyline where he's trying to reshape AEW in his image and stuff like that. But this match just did not deliver as the other matches on the card. This match may actually be the worst match on this card. Yeah, it may actually be the worst match on this card. It was fun at times, but it just wasn't. It just never had that quality, that AEW where the best wrestle quality. It didn't. But there were some good parts. I thought Jay White might have been the MVP of this match for me personally. I think he was great. Hangman Adam Page, always fun. Moxley and the brawling, and them taking out Moxley with the shield powerbomb to the outside was really cool. Cassidy. You see Orange Cassidy. I never want to talk bad on him because he can pull out those banger matches, and his international title reign was probably one of the best reigns with a singles championship that this company have delivered in its existence, just in terms of from a match quality standpoint. So I never want to diss him, but like I'm just not. I've never been super invested in his character and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know, because he had the last go at the last pay-per-view. Yes, he's still been in this story. Did he need to be here? Maybe we could have just had a triple threat and that would have maybe helped the match be a bit more cleaner. Pretty much from the jump, we saw these guys jump Moxley, which is expected because that's what they kind of told each other. That's what they agreed on. That's what we're going to do. And then we saw Death Riders come out. We had Shafir was getting involved. We saw Claudio get involved. We saw Wheeler Yuta get involved. No Pac wasn't around, but like these guys are always here. And it's so weird to me that we didn't have Conglomeration come out and back up Cassidy. We didn't have the Guns come out and back up Jay White. Like why wouldn't these guys come out, especially to even the odds? So, but that would have just made it more messy, more overbooked than it already was, to be completely honest. This match was it's hard to judge it on a match where I'm trying not to be like wrestling centric, but on a card that was so wrestling centric, like this match just felt like just a mess. Like, let's just send out the rest to go have a match sort of thing. So yeah, I don't want to be too down on it because I did enjoy it. And I am probably one of the few people that are enjoying the Moxley takeover storyline stuff. I completely see the potholes and completely see what some people are saying about it as well. But yeah, this probably was the weakest match on the card, if I'm being objective about it. Fun spot of the match was probably that Shield power bomb through the table and Jay White giving Marina Shafir the switchblade and yeah, she goes rolling out of the ring. But yeah, after heavy involvement by the Death Riders, Wheeler Yuta with the Psycho knee and everything, we saw John Moxley pin Jay White and retain the AEW World Championship. Now, when he retained it, I thought, cool. There was still some, afters and stuff like that. FTR come out. Okay. FTR have been getting beaten up a bit here and there by Death Riders on Collision, I think it was. And they've said that, we're not cleared yet, but 2025 are coming back, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's not 2025 yet, but they came back a bit earlier. They came through to the entranceway. They're still on the ramp. Their Titron changes and forms into Adam Copeland, who makes his big return after that spot where he jumped off a cage, injured his foot. He's back now. They hinted at this, and it was pretty obvious it was going to be Adam Copeland. They hinted at this on one of their promos that they cut on Collision. FTR, Adam Copeland, rated FTR, or whatever they call themselves. They come down, they clear ring of the Death Riders, just leave Moxley in there. Adam Copeland is dishing out a beating on Moxley and stuff like that, cuts a promo on him, calls him kid, which you see Adam Copeland, yeah. I feel like he gets off on just being disrespectful to people. Maybe he likes this whole shoot promo style stuff that you can do in AEW, because this is what he done, which we now know with Ricky Starks, which didn't really sit well with Ricky Starks, and Ricky Starks gave him some verbal back as well, and they done whatever they did that time on Collision, if you guys remember. And Danielson was just standing in the ring, like, what's going on here, sort of thing. Like, calling Moxley kid because he said, "Oh, because you were growing pubes when I was out here doing this." This is a 4-time world champion of this company. Like, come on. Like, kid is such a... Anyway. Adam Copeland is back. Adam Copeland is clearly going to be the maybe next challenger to the AEW World Championship after they build up a bit. But I don't necessarily understand why the most decorated man in WWE history is now coming out as a potential savior of AEW. Why? Why Adam Copeland? And yes, I mean, they say wins and losses matter. He's been away for a long time, so I don't know how much he's going to build up himself before he probably gets a try at Moxley's title. But come on. There are better candidates. And this is what I mean. If you go back to when, like I say, Omega being in this main event segment would have made more sense. Like, this is someone that has the heart of AEW. He's one of the EVPs, the founders of this company. Like, if he's to come out, and then it's like, and I believe the way I've kind of booked this story in my head anyway, was that Moxley should face all of these fan favorites before he eventually drops the title to Darby Allin. Moxley has to look like none of you guys' heroes are worthy. None of them. Give me Omega. Give me Hangman. Give me Swerve. Give me all of these people that you guys say are the heart and soul of AEW. And I'm going to show you they're nothing to me. And then Darby comes and gets the win. And of course, they can still do that, depending on when they have kind of booked for this Moxley storyline to go. It might go all the way to All In, which is July, 6 months from now. I just think it's weird that you've sent out FTR, who, okay, yes, have, you know, they had their time in WWE, but are they synonymous with WWE? I probably wouldn't agree to say that, but they've had their time there. But Adam Copeland is synonymous with WWE. Yeah, he is WWE's most decorated wrestler. Like, to end this AEW centric story with this guy coming out as like the savior, I don't know. I don't think it's how I would have done it. I mean, this wouldn't have been a main event for me anyway. So yeah, this is very difficult because, like I say, you want your AEW World Championship to remain in that top spot, but I don't think that it should come at the cost of how you deliver everything else. Like, the Continental Classic was great and should have ended the show. Okada should have ended the show with confetti and pyro and stuff like that. And then, oh, you know, he could have just been given the belt by the referee or whatever. And then Omega's music hits. And then it's like, oh my gosh, Omega's back. We know their history. We know where that's probably going to lead to. And then, you know, you could see Omega is literally, and I'm not saying he's not right now, but he is framed as like the last image that you get, you know, as the pay-per-view goes offline, this massive hero coming back into AEW, EVP, this, that, and the other. And he is framed now in your mind as someone that can defeat John Moxley for the world title, as well as having this match with Okada. I just don't feel like this show ended. Like, this show could have ended even with a match. Moxley just wins the title and done. This FTR and Adam, like, you wheeled out FTR and Adam Copeland to promote a 6-man tag on Dynamite. Huh? What? What? A 6-man tag? And it's not even like it's the trios match, because Death Riders have the belts, although I know the trio that are going to face, you know, on Wednesday aren't the actual champions. But like, you wheeled out this return just for that. Like, this return should have even happened on Dynamite. Why couldn't Adam Copeland return on Dynamite? It's not how I would have ended the show. Let me leave it at that. But a great show, a great in-ring show. Listen, when it comes to in-ring, no one does it like AEW. No one's doing like AEW. Really, really top stuff. But if we just get these little snags right, man, this product will be back where it needs to be. But right now, I don't know. Man. But yeah, that is the review. I'm just going through some of the comments, picking up some of the comments from you guys. Some Punk 82, big up him. He says that rated FTR shirt was pretty lame. Listen, I'm not here to talk about merch, man. They got to try something. People are going to buy it anyway, so we'll see. Graps with Guap, big up Del Boy. He said Ospreay's promo was great. It really was. That promo when he was backstage with Renee Paquette, bloody, dry blood all over his face. Like, that really just shows me you're here just for the love of this. And that's what he conveyed in his message. Like, look at the state of me, but I'm not finished. I've got one more match to go out and do. Let's effing have it, lads. Like, that was really good. And Graps with Guap went on to talk about as well. That was a much needed win for Okada. Again, like I said, like, Okada has had what has probably not been to the fans, but in his life, he's moved from Japan to America. His wife has been pregnant this entire time. She's just had a baby. Like, maybe now, you know, he has a lot more mental space to just focus on his wrestling and stuff like that. And, you know, we move from here and we get something more akin to the Okada that we all know and expected, as opposed to what we've been getting so far. Sir Broccoli, Is that Sir Broccoli? He said, I need Willow as a women's champion in 2025. I think Willow has to beat Mercedes for the TBS title. I think that's the direction. I think that's where we're going. Where it happens, I don't know. Does Willow win the main women's championship in 2025? Probably not. Probably not. But I don't know what's more impactful if Willow beats Mercedes for this TBS championship, which she's already held, or Willow beats Mercedes for the women's world championship somewhere else later on down the line. Obviously, the women's world championship is more impactful, but at the same time, we need to do something with Willow in the next 12 months because Willow's great and shouldn't be being left to do next to nothing. Kervin says Okada versus Ospreay should have been the main event. Yep. I think 100%. I agree. Again, you've built the entire pay-per-view around this Continental Classic, so why wouldn't it have been the main event? Big Boss says stop being a hater for the main event. No, that's not right. I'm not a hater for the main event. Like I said, I think it was the worst wrestling match on the show. Is that being a hater for the main event? I said I enjoyed it. I said I thought it was still good. I just said I think it's the worst. It was convoluted. It was overbooked. I still liked it. It was just the worst on the night. If that's what being a hater is, then okay, that's fine with me. Kervin says by 2025, we don't see Athena AEW main roster. What the F is Tony Khan doing? Athena retaining her ROH Women's Championship at Final Battle is a decision. She's beaten Billy Starks twice now. When the obvious story that these guys are telling is that Billy Starks has to overthrow the mentor, the main woman in charge. And I think Tony Khan wants Athena to go to All In Texas in July as Ring of Honor champion. I think that's what the play is. It is a hell of a long time. I mean, you could have Athena win the TBS title at that show as opposed to walking into that show Ring of Honor Women's Champion. But I think that must be the play. She's from Texas. You know, she was at the presser and everything like that when they were launching that particular event. I think that's what we're waiting for here. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Kervin also says Mercedes versus Saraya, easy storyline to tell. You end my career and I'll take your TBS championship from you. Yeah, that could be a story they tell. I don't think anyone's invested in seeing Saraya wrestle though. Saraya's currently off TV. She's taken a break from AEW. I don't care. Once upon a time, I definitely wanted this match in AEW, but right now, where I feel like we're getting Mercedes right and letting her do what's best, I'm not keen to see her get up in some nonsensical mix-up with Saraya. I think we've missed our opportunity to maybe do that storyline. Maybe if we get to a place of better storytelling, we can circle back around to it, but not now. Whilst things are going right for Mercedes, I wouldn't touch that match right now. Kevin also says, I saw a lot of people said Omega overshadowed Okada last night. People can say this, and I understand the sentiment, but this is where AEW have to do their bit in making Okada look massive for winning this tournament. Presentation, confetti, Okada dollars, pyro. If you do all of that and have Okada have a massive celebration before Omega comes out, then yeah, it won't look like he overshadowed him. It'll look like this guy really soaked it in and Omega crashed the party, if anything, not overshadowed him. So I don't necessarily agree that Omega overshadowed Okada anyway, but I can understand it, and it's an AEW issue if that's the case, and that's how it came across. Sir Broccoli says she probably won't. Tony will win it, but I have zero interest in this story with Mariah May. Yeah, I mean, Tony still Mariah May. I think we just need to kind of wrap that up or give Mariah May some better stuff to do before we get the Tony Storm story. Yeah, I think that could be fun. I mean, it would be interesting to see if we could even dabble with like a Mercedes Moné going after the AEW Women's Championship while she still has these other belts, and Mariah May beating Mercedes, and seeing how that works out, sort of thing. Because Mariah May saying all of this stuff about the division's not there. You're not even like the headline act right now in your division. So let's stop the cap, as the kids say. Right. I think we're going to wrap it up there, people. It's been a long stream of me doing this on myself. So I appreciate everyone that joined live, brought some interaction to it. AEW World's End. That is it. A book end on all pay-per-views from this year. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the pay-per-view as a whole, how you're going to grade the pay-per-view. If I'm going to grade this pay-per-view out of 5 stars, I might say this is a 4-star pay-per-view. Yeah, I would say just the main event and how they chose to end the main event and not really sell us on the Continental Classic is probably my biggest gripes about this. The in-ring product was predominantly very strong all around, apart from the main event, maybe. Yeah, I thought this was a really good show, man. I think they've done really well to kind of end this show, bring some storylines to a close, start some new stuff potentially. And I remember last year after World's End, Tony Khan was like, we're going back, like a new era, as he always says. We're going back to our best and stuff like that. And we were all really optimistic about the start of 2024 following World's End in 2023. Let's hope he was talking about now and that 2025 AEW is really strong and much better than it has been. The Continental Classic has thrown AEW a bone and kind of kept them alive in our hearts because it's some good stuff. The Continental Classic, I'll keep singing its praises. I think it's a great tournament. But I do feel like now 2025, we've got some big names back in Copeland, in Omega. Moxley still holding the title. The women are coming into their own. Let's do some greater stuff. Keep telling these stories, man. Mix it well with the wrestling and get a better product than we have been getting. Guys, I appreciate you guys joining me, for those that joined live, and I appreciate everyone that listened back to this on YouTube or on the podcast feed. This is available on the podcast like all the other podcasts are. So WrestleManiac UK show, you can find it on all your podcast platforms. Those that are watching live on YouTube or watching this back on YouTube, like I said, big up yourselves. I appreciate you. Hit the like button and subscribe if you are new to this channel. And yeah, more podcasts coming your way very soon. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you